Everyone, happy Independence Day. This is not the ideal situation. I'm at a massive picnic. There's about 1,000 kids around. Everyone's having fun. And Qasim Rashid, as you can know, you love, he is dressed up. He's dapper. He's about to host a whole bunch of his community members. But I'm like, Qasim, I'm really pissed off about
Yeah.
how the establishment's having a freak out over Zohran Mamdani in this New York Times article. And I have an itch and I should be relaxing, but I can't. And Qasim's like, just give me 5 minutes. I'll do it as well. And so he's got 20 minutes. I've got 20 minutes. I hope you all could tolerate me as I'm walking around. But for those who don't know, the New York Times revealing its own ass yet again, revealing itself as an arm of the establishment, revealing the Islamophobia, the double standards that have been in place, that's representative of pretty much all of our corporate entities and
Yeah.
establishment, bending the knee for Donald Trump and his fascism, doing a both sides false equivalence, moving the Overton window to the right, and this kind of horrific smear campaign against Zohran Mamdani. Because Qasim Rashid, did you know? I don't know if you knew this, but Uganda is a country in Africa. And did you know that there are Indians who went to Uganda and then were kicked out by Idi Amin and were then forced to go to America where they became citizens? And did you know that Zohran Mamdani was born in Uganda and then came to America at 7, and that his parents, Mira Nair and Professor Mamdani, are actually of Asian descent, but actually trace their roots to Uganda, so that when he was actually applying for college at Columbia and he got rejected, and he saw these restrictive boxes for his identity, he's like, well, I'll check Asian because yes, there's Indian ancestry, but also I was actually born in Uganda, so it's African American. And let me clarify and put Uganda. And that was worth such a big story that based off a hack, right? Let me again clarify this. Based off of hacked information, that's how New York Times got this story, this data, but not just the hack. They got this off of a right-wing white supremacist eugenicist who they didn't want to identify, but they kept his Twitter name, and they relied upon this right-wing white nationalist, racist eugenicist who just like 2 weeks ago was talking about brain sizes and,
Yep.
racist Nazi shit.
Yep.
And they relied upon him for this information. But speak about the double standard, Qasim, they refused to talk about the J.D. Vance dossier that was also a result of the hack that Iran did, because we don't want to talk about hacked information. We're not going to rely on that evidence.
Yep.
So with all that, we had then yesterday, I think his name is Sean McGuire from my hometown, the Bay Area, a partner at Sequoia, openly say the
Yeah.
most racist shit possible about,
Saw
oh,
that.
look, this is what their people, they're untrustworthy. Nothing's happened to him. And now we're having a meltdown. I did a tweet yesterday talking about, this tweet has gone viral, how New York Times doesn't realize how it has pissed off so many people. And if they don't offer a retraction or an apology, it's going to drive more people away. And all the pile on from MAGA, and they're so pissed off, and I love it. And I keep saying to them, Mamdani's going to win, and I look forward to your nervous breakdown. With all of that, I cede the ground to you, Qasim.
You already said everything there is needed to say. I'll add that I think what's driving this racist rhetoric is a recognition that they're losing control. They don't have the kind of influence that they once had. I just saw a poll come out on their most important issue, and that is protecting the U.S.-Israel relationship. In 2017, people under 50 were 14 points in favor of Israel. Do you know the new poll that came out this week shows for people under 50? Plus,
Yeah, poll, right? Yeah.
plus 57 in favor of Palestine. Plus 57. They're not losing control, they have lost control. And what happens when a racist outlet or a propaganda outlet loses control is they pull out all the stops and say, we've got nothing to lose at this point. We've already lost our integrity, our credibility, our trust, our reliance, our subscriptions. Let's do whatever we possibly can to reach out to a racist base to replace the people that we've lost. And what I would say to our fellow Americans out there, because we're both under 50 still, we're still a few years away, but we're under 50, is this is the time to double down on these talking points of basic human justice, of basic dignity. Do not back down. Continue to invest in support. And I'll make this plug numerous times, but if you're not already subscribed to Wajahat, subscribe to him, because he's able to provide this content and support with your support. And I am too. But the bottom line is, this is why it's happening. When you have a system built on white supremacy suddenly lose the control and influence that it has, it lashes out. And Wajahat, I said this before, I'll say it again. My fear is that this is going to get someone hurt, someone named Zohran Mamdani, because these kinds of, we saw a couple of weeks ago, this fascist killed 2 Minnesota Democrats, tried to kill 4. We saw in Idaho, this guy lured out firefighters and shot them. I mean, we're seeing a massive spike in violent reactions from people influenced by these, basically racist tabloids at this point. And I fear for people like Zohran Mamdani. And so that's where the solution has to be that we collectively work together, recognize the massive influence that we have. Because I can tell you, as bad as it is, and I'll throw it back to you on your thoughts on this, I feel like it's going to get worse if we don't take action now.
I think you touched upon it. Is what we're seeing is a collective meltdown of the rich and powerful because they
Yeah.
can't control the narrative, right? They
Right.
unleashed all their power to destroy Mamdani. Everything.
Yep.
Bill Clinton, Clyburn, New York Times, smear campaign, millions of
Yep.
dollars, APAC, ADL, and still the people said, "We'll go with this Muslim guy born in
Yep.
Uganda named Zohran Mamdani, who is a New York City assemblyman." And the reason for it, sorry, I got kids in the pool. The reason for it, and I was just talking to someone right before we went live, is because of his message. What's his message at the end of the day? You know what? New York City should be affordable for everyone. You
What
know
a
what?
concept. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to criticize the billionaires. You know what? I'm going to stand up for the immigrants. You know what? I'm going to stand up for the LGBTQ communities. You know what? I'm going to stand up for Muslims. Everyone should have a chance at an affordable life, affordable
Yep.
housing, affordable a rent, right? And instead of like bending the knee to the corporate bureaucrats and bending the knee to the oligarchy, I'm going to do a grassroots campaign. I'm going to do something super traditional. I'm going to build a multiracial network. I'm going to reach out to everyone. I'm going to message to everyone, and I'm going to be consistent on my principles and messages. And I'm going to go hard in the paint. Free buses. Why the F not? Freeze rent. Why the F not? Medicare for all. Let's do it. Right?
Yep.
Donald Trump, you're going to do the birther conspiracy against me and say that you're going to strip me of citizenship and kind of try to deport me. Bring it. Go ahead. If you come after the immigrants,
he said we
as
will
I'm a
not be
mayor,
intimidated.
I'm not going to let you.
Yep.
Yeah. And so you see that passion and that sincerity and that authenticity of message win over so many people. And I was just telling someone right before I went live that some people who voted for Mamdani also voted for Trump. In 2024, some people who voted for Trump also voted for AOC. In 2016, some people who voted for Trump were also going to go for Bernie. Why? Not because they're Democratic Socialists. And I was also talking to Mike Madrid, who I call the Latino whisperer. That piece came out yesterday. He said Latinos in 2016 were actually lining up behind Bernie because of the economic populist message. They don't care about these labels. They're like, this guy is authentic, he's fighting, he's sincere. Okay, he'll make my life better. And he said, the reason why so many voted for Trump is because they got sold a bullshit and they thought he might make their life better. However, he said, Trump has already done an overreach. The right wing has already done an overreach with unleashing ICE. And now you're seeing those same people turn. And he said the Latinos turned in 2018 once he started overreaching with invasion. So speaking about overreach, folks, now we got the Marines in Florida. We got friggin' ICE and National Guard terrorizing LA. And then this week, the world's worst bill, the billionaire bill, which Qasim, you've talked about a lot. Go subscribe to Qasim. The numbers, he always does the numbers. 17 million people will be kicked off of Medicaid. Nursing homes will shut down. Rural hospitals will shut down. Food supplements will be gutted. Medicaid is going to be affected. Americans will die. And Republicans are gloating about this. And folks, I said it last weekend, when it came to a chance for Democrats to spend the Sunday show informing people about this bill and the $175 billion is going to go to ICE, making it more powerful than most militaries around the world. They instead denounced Mamdani. And I agree with you. I worry about his health. And I think they're realizing in real time, oh shit, we don't have power. People aren't listening to us. And like a child who's put to bed, they're most upset right before they're put to bed. And so they're going to go scorched earth, Qasim. What I've said for a couple of weeks, they would rather burn the party down, the establishment down, the city down, than to have a person like Zohran get in power. And you saw this this is shameless, this New York Times speech. I mean, think about destroying your reputation for this. I yield the floor to you.
They did the same thing with a crappy piece by Bret Stephens, who has literally fabricated accusations of anti-Semitism to make it seem like he has some validity here. Tom Suzy, the Democratic New York congressman, write a hit piece against Mamdani on the eve of this disgusting bill that was passed. I mean, this bill is horrific. It's turning us into a police state. It will jeopardize the lives of tens of millions of Americans. And establishment Democrats are doing what? They're writing op-eds denouncing the one guy who got record turnout, doubled youth turnout, and won an election the old-fashioned grassroots way. It's just mind-boggling stupidity to me. And I will say this: I've gotten some emails from folks saying, "Well, how do we know Zohran's ideas work?" And to that, I have two responses. One, well, until and unless the Democrats or the people who oppose him can actually refute it on logic and facts, the fact that they're attacking his character and not him tells you that they know that his ideas work, right? If his ideas were cockamamie, nonsensical, they would be able to dismantle them easily, but they can't. And that's why they're making this crap up. And what's so frustrating about the Democratic attacks that are being made is that when you saw the Republican attacks come out, they were indistinguishable from the Democratic attacks. You know, Republicans called him an Islamic jihadist terrorist. Kirsten Gillibrand said the exact same thing. Republicans said, we're not really sure he's an American. Democrats are saying, well, we're not sure if we can endorse him. We can't trust him. It comes from the same bigotry. That's my first answer. The second answer is we know Mamdani's economic policies work because they've worked already numerous times throughout American history. The most recent, the state of Massachusetts implemented I think a 2 to 3% tax on millionaires. And in the last 3 years, you know what's happened with Jahat? Massachusetts has become the top 10 most affordable states in the country to live. Poverty is in the bottom 10. And the number of millionaires, you don't talk about, oh, the millionaires are going to leave if you do that. The number of millionaires has increased 50%. Because when you give more money to working people, guess where they spend it? They spend it locally. And small businesses and mid-sized businesses grow dramatically, and it creates even more millionaires. And if you tax them more, it's a positive cycle. That's the actual trickle-up economics that works. You build it from the working class up, and more people get wealthier, not hoarded at the top and let people starve and beg for crumbs. And so I guess, so let me throw it back to you, Wajahat. My question is this. I know folks ask me, what do we do to fight back against this propaganda, against this disinformation, against these attacks? You and I have platforms and we're talking and screaming our heads off. What can ordinary folks do? What do you want them to be doing in this situation to make sure we protect leaders like Zohran and we elect more people like Zohran as well?
So, real quick, because there's some weird glitches on my Substack Live, I can't see how many people are watching, and I can't read
800.
any comments.
820, yeah.
So forgive me, and I usually try to call you all out and answer the questions and give shout outs, but I can't see anything because my Substack has the glitch, but they're trying to fix it. What I will say is this: is I had Glenn on yesterday, Glenn Kushner, and that post went pretty, was well respected, and we talked about this. Qasim, is first and foremost, if you and Glenn shared my belief about the following: Glenn is a federal prosecutor, and Glenn agreed with me that the end game of Donald Trump and what we've seen with this bill and the infusion of $175 billion to ICE, which I think Democrats should have been talking about for 2 weeks, is Donald Trump now has his personal army, his Gestapo. And if you don't believe me, folks, the day before July 4th, in the evening, it was announced that he's going to unleash 200 Marines, where? Not against our enemies abroad, but to help ICE in Florida. We're seeing thousands of agents terrorize Los Angeles community members, not just undocumented immigrants, but immigrant citizens, right? What's going to happen? The kids are having fun. Sorry. What's going to happen is if they get more desperate, if it looks like they're losing elections, my take on this, and he agreed with me, is we're going to see him declare some sort of emergency, him say, you know what? The power invested in me as a commander in chief, I have to declare martial law, and I'm going to punt. I'm going to punt the elections, right? So I said this out loud, and Glenn agreed with me. He goes, yeah, that's what I think, God forbid, will happen. That's the end game, full authoritarianism. But, folks, we have the numbers. There are more of us than there are of them. Let me repeat. There are more of us than there are of them, 330 million. And when we flex grassroots, we make changes. So speaking with, just keeping to LA, Glenn agreed with me. If we rely upon the Democrats to save us, we're effed. Gossip. Yep. If we rely upon the institutions, we're effed. Everyone wants to outsource saving democracy to like Iron Man and the Avengers. They ain't coming to help us. It's up to us. So in LA, it was the grassroots. The leaders came out. They put pressure on the LA Dodgers. LA Dodgers kicked out ICE. LA Dodgers then gave $1 million to immigrant rights communities. The No Kings rally, grassroots folks, right? White folks came out, right? We're going to have full hands on deck, 10 toes down. Friggin' everyone come out and use their superpower, because democracy is a contact sport and everyone has to participate. So I need people to use their voice, their platform on Twitter, on Facebook, inform their family members, run for office locally, essentially go out, protest. And also, what I've always told people is the color that trumps all other colors in America is the color green. we've seen in the past 6 months that people using their dollar, right, both to punish and to attract, has helped. I'll give you an example for those who think I'm being hyperbolic. The law firms who, like the New York Times and all these other billionaires, bent the knee to Donald Trump. As a result of their capitulation, corporations are moving away from them because they realize any corporation that works with them is tainted. So now these corporations don't give a shit about us, Qasim. They just care about their reputation. Bottom line, are like, I can't deal with you because people are moving their dollars away from us.
Yep.
Costco, their money has gone up. Target, their money has gone down. And also, final thing I'll say before I hand it over to you, I know hit dogs holler because this tweet that I did, oh man, it has pissed them off.
Good.
They've come out all day. I mean, they've spent July 4th and July 5th coming after me because I called out the New York Times, and I'm talking about all of right wing, all of MAGA. That guy Sean McGuire, that racist from Sequoia, even he responded to me. So Qasim, the right wing hollers when they're threatened.
I have seen it a million times. I'm getting it right now. I'm being accused of the most racist, disgusting things in my DM. I get it. I know you get it. And guess what? It just emboldens me to keep going. I'm getting a lot of emails from folks, by the way, positive emails from folks saying, "What do I do?" And my answer to them every single time is, "Be your champion locally." You're not going to solve the nation's problems sitting in some small town, but you can solve that town's problems. And we get enough towns working together, it's going to make a big difference. So get hyper local. Someone said, I look locally, there's really nobody doing anything. I'm like, well, then you're it. You're the guy. You build it. And I promise you, people will come. There's so many folks waiting by the wayside, watching for somebody else to step up. You know, there's a phenomenon whenever a tragedy happens. It's called the bystander effect. You know, someone watches somebody getting mugged or beat or stabbed, and they all wait for someone else to call 911. Don't be the bystander. Don't let the bystander effect, because we're watching our country being mugged and beat and destroyed. Be the person who stands up and says, I am going to start to organize and activate. I'm sure there's folks around there already doing it. If there's not, you be that person. If you need help on how to get started, there are a million resources, you know, from Working Families Party, from Run for Something, from Indivisible, that you can jump into and pick up. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to push the wheel. So I got to go in now, actually, but I did want to say that. And for those who are able to support and subscribe, whether it's for free or as a paid subscriber, it goes a long way. None of my content is behind a paywall. None of what Jah's content is behind a paywall. As he says beautifully, we are terrible capitalists, but we do love the humanity that each of you bring. And for those of you who can't support us, we love you, whether it's paid or free. But keep fighting. Don't give up.
Folks, thank you so much, Qasim. I just want you to see how I'm dressed. I'm dressed like this for a party and a nice barbecue. My wife told me that only 20 people will be coming. Everyone's dressed like they're going to a wedding. Everyone looks nice. I look like, like literally there's another person here who I won't name who's kind of well known in our communities, and his wife brought him a collared shirt, but this is how I'm dressed. So
Nice.
thank you, Sarah. But the kids are here. Enjoy your Saturday, but I really appreciate Qasim coming on at the last
What's up,
second.
brother?
Poor Qasim. He has an event he has to run to literally. But we're here. It's a left hook, and also Qasim's a Substack. Everything is for free, no paywalls. We depend on the kindness of strangers. If you can subscribe, please do. If you have a few bucks, please give it. If not, it's okay. But folks, it's full contact sport. All hands on deck. Everyone has a voice. Everyone has a superpower. And I appreciate Qasim joining me literally at the last second. I'm sorry for all the chaos behind me. I got kids running around. But please, if you can, be kind, be decent, be empathetic, be informed, and don't be a fascist. Qasim, thank you so much, man, for taking the time at the last second.
Peace out,
See you soon,
brother.
inshallah.
Love you. Take care.